16, turn me up.
All right, and just like that, we are back. It's Brian and Jack today. Matt may be joining us in a bit to talk about his Eagles absolutely obliterating my New York Giants. Saquon Barkley proved New York should have never gotten rid of him. Pretty unfortunate. Hopefully my day doesn't get completely ruined. New York Mets' first pitch is in about a half an hour, our time. You guys, of course, will know the result as you're listening to this. Someone that did have a good Sunday, our guy Jack.
I did. Yeah. I mean, look, the Jaguars won. The first quarter, it was pretty rough. So with these 9:30 starts until about 10 o'clock, it was pretty brutal. But as soon as that first quarter ended, the Jaguars started scoring some points. I was definitely pretty happy. Shout out Parker Washington, 96-yard punt return touchdown, franchise record. You gotta love stuff like that. Makes your Sunday really, really special.
Yeah, I did have Jaguars defense in fantasy today. Unfortunately, it did not matter because my guy, Jaden Daniels, who we'll get to in a bit, went out with an injury in the first quarter. And then I had my fantasy team stink, just like the New York Giants, and hopefully not the New York Mets, because I've had a pretty terrible sports weekend. But before we get into my terrible sports weekend and the rest of the sports weekend, it is all brought to you by our good friends at SeatGeek. The best time of the year is here. Football is back, and whether you're going to a game at Jordan-Hare to cheer on Auburn, going to the Link to watch the Birds, or going up to MetLife, not JetLife, Matt, to watch the Giants probably lose, you're going to want to go to SeatGeek, the official sponsor of the Views from Section 400 podcast. New users, $20 off your first purchase by using code VIEWSFROM400 at checkout. Again, new users, $20 off your first purchase to any football game, any postseason baseball game, anything you're doing this late summer or fall. Code VIEWSFROM400 at checkout. Thank you to SeatGeek, the official sponsor of the podcast.
So before we get into our NFL recap, gotta let you guys know real quick that SeatGeek code, it's a good one. $20 off your first time buying tickets on SeatGeek. Used it this past week. Went to go see a concert, the Red Clay Strays, good country band in case anybody's interested. Go check them out. But use the code, get $20 off. Makes it a lot cheaper. Free beer on us.
I love that. Beer nowadays might be a little more expensive. Well, no, most places you could probably get it for under $20.
Yeah, I was at a place where they were serving you call them premium drinks for $16 for a double. So definitely one of the more price-friendly places nowadays.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. Speaking of friendly places, this week, a familiar place for your Jags, London. Very, very friendly to them. We talked about it a little bit in the intro. Tank Bigsby had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
War Eagle.
Dude,
Tank was awesome. He got called upon to run the ball 25 times, and he did very well with those touches. The whole play calling is a whole nother conversation if you want to have that. But I got to say I'm happy with the Jags today. After a pretty sluggish and honestly just bad first quarter, we turned it on, realized we're not losing to the Patriots in our second home. So I got to say, I'm very happy. Trevor looked really good. Our receivers weren't dropping passes. Brian Thomas Jr. looked incredible in that first half when we threw the football. But the biggest thing in this game is the play calling. Down the stretch, we ran the ball legitimately 25, 30 times in a row. We didn't throw.
Yeah, we just got the word that David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs want to be called Sonic and Knuckles. Today, Tank Bigsby and Dearness Johnson were Sonic and Knuckles for the Jaguars. And the fact Dearness Johnson's getting he had 70 yards in a game in 2024.
Yeah, it's astonishing. And I don't want anybody to think that Dearness Johnson's taken over Travis Etienne's spot unless the rumors are true and he actually does get traded, which I don't think is going to happen. But Travis Etienne, I can't wait till he's back because Tank is absolutely killing it right now as the primary, as you were saying earlier, that David Montgomery role, the ground and pound role. Love it. Love what I'm seeing out of Tank. And I can't wait till Etienne's back and provides that Jahmyr Gibbs, flashy style of play.
Yeah, as long as his ankles can stay healthy. And I did see something interesting earlier this week, and I hate to kind of put a damper on your parade by bringing up this name because I know you hate him. But I remember when they drafted Travis Etienne, Urban Meyer said something. He said they should mainly use him as a pass catcher.
I
And
I thought we talked about this. Like we're not saying he is the Voldemort of football. He is who shall not be named. You got to reference him. You got to say something that's not his actual name. I'm done with it.
okay,
Call him
well,
Voldemort. Call him Voldemort. It's cool.
I would respect your wishes, but you also are insistent on calling MetLife Stadium JetLife now.
Oh,
So
it's good kick. It's a good kick.
I guess you got to commit to the bit if you're gonna do it at all. But I mean, hey, if Doug just lets Tank be the guy and then let ETN be the Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe even the less of a Jahmyr Gibbs role to keep him healthy, I think the Jags have something. But Doug just seems so insistent on saying ETN's a starter, ETN's a starter, ETN's a starter. Tank Bigsby's really good.
I think that Travis Etienne's sorry Etienne. I think that's over with. I think everybody knows Tank needs more touches. You saw what he did today, and I'm not going to sit here and say that the Patriots defense is anywhere near the top in the league, but they are always consistently a solid defense, and to be able to do that against them today, run the ball 30 plus times, and do it well. I'm very happy. The offensive line is something that I've been chirping. I've been chirping that a whole lot, and I'm really happy with how they've played past 3 weeks now.
Yeah, I think the O line's starting to see some of your tweets at Views from Jack, and they are putting them on their lockers. And it's bulletin board material, and it's working.
It better be. In the first quarter today, before we started playing well, I said I am not having fun right now.
Yeah, well, you and me both. But we don't have to talk about the Giants Eagles yet. We'll wait till Matt gets on here so he can provide his expert analysis on what went well for the Eagles. So we might as well go to Cleveland, where the Wicked Witch of the West is dead. Deshaun Watson got carted off the field, and I've never seen a group of people on social media celebrate an injury more than when Deshaun Watson got
I
carted
don't
off.
know. I don't know if you were listening to the game sound when he got hurt, but that crowd was not upset. There were some people cheering when Deshaun Watson went down with that devastating injury. Yeah, I mean, I think they confirmed it was his Achilles, right?
Yeah, I mean, it looked like an Achilles. I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
Yeah, this might be at the end of his career. I wouldn't be surprised if we never see him on the football field again. Which brings up the question: Jameis Winston, is it time?
Well, I thought it would be time this week, and then they brought in DTR.
Well, I heard something about how Jameis wasn't even on the active roster because he was potentially being traded, but that's certainly not true because he did play at the end of this game, right?
Yeah, he was. I think Scott Hansen said on Red Zone he was the emergency quarterback. So yeah, maybe they were thinking about trading him. Definitely can't trade him now. But
No, definitely not.
yeah, shout out Cleveland. It's crazy an injury can kind of get your morale up after losing to the Yankees in very sad fashion. Don't really feel like touching on that because we all hate the Yankees over here. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, Nick Chubb's back. Deshaun Watson's gone. Good things happening for Cleveland, maybe?
Despite losing 21-6 to a team with 2 wins on the season.
Yeah, and the Bengals, I guess we could talk about them too. They won 21-6, but they did not look good. The final was 21-14. I forgot to update this, but they did get a garbage time touchdown.
21-14.
So yeah, they did. The Bengals did not look good.
Yeah, no, they really didn't. I mean, their defense we know is not good. But on top of that, Joe Burrow didn't have the most incredible game, but it's the rushing too, dude. They don't have a run game. I mean, Zach Moss wasn't good in Indianapolis 3 years ago. He's not good now.
Yeah, I talked about Dearness Johnson getting carries in 2024. Zach Moss should not be getting carries in 2024.
Yeah, the Bengals for real need to just switch it over to Chase Brown and call it a day. You need to be able to score more than 21 points on a Browns defense that's missing legitimately half of their starters to injury.
Yeah, and for those watching on the YouTube, you see the little M icon. We got Matt coming in here.
Oh, is that what happened? Okay. I had to slide my screen over to fit him on. Um, well, while we're waiting for him to get all set up, you want to go right into the next one, or are we waiting?
Yeah, we can run Dolphins Colts real quick because this was a
It's a gross game. Matt doesn't even want to talk about this one. The Dolphins Colts. It was gross. I'm sorry, what's his name? Tyler Huntley got hurt in this one, so we went to Tim Boyle. Is that his name?
yep, Tim Boyle.
Tim Boyle. Where was he? With the Jets or the Broncos?
He was with the Jets when they had the Amazon Prime game, and you hated that.
I hated everything about that Amazon Prime game.
But yeah, the
That was
story
the that was
here
the that was the Black Friday game, right?
was the Black Friday game.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's we could talk about the Dolphins, but Anthony Richardson in a win, yeah, they won, but he went 10 of 14, 129 yards. Josh Downs had one catch. In the 2 weeks with Joe Flacco, Josh Downs had 120 yards and a touchdown. And with Anthony Richardson back under center, he has one catch for 3 yards.
Yeah, I made the right move benching him, saying Flacco's not in there. This is not going to be the same look offense. You got to go back to the sample size you actually have, and it's not pretty with Anthony Richardson behind center. Yeah, he needs to figure out how to throw the ball, and I don't know if he's going to get there because honestly, after watching him today, I think he's an idiot, and I say that with full confidence. I think Anthony Richardson's an idiot. You just got back from an injury. You just missed 3 games from an injury. From trying to take a guy one on one. What do you do in this game? You have an opportunity to take a guy one on one or go out of bounds. Save yourself. You're still a quarterback. And what does he do? Lower the shoulder. And I'm like, is this it again? Just it's so dumb. Like I understand that you're a Russian quarterback. You're able to have this ability to do this and that. But if you're gonna get hurt, you ain't good to nobody.
Yeah, well, that's the University of Florida education for
Amen to that, brother.
you.
Maddie, what's up?
I was going to say, what's up, fellas? What I missed? You guys already jumped through a bunch of the 1 o'clock slates here, or what?
We talked about the Jags, and Jack was very happy about getting a win and maybe saving the season. I didn't ask you that question, but is the season saved?
Absolutely. What you've never seen a team go 11-5 before?
Well, they'd have to go
I
12 and 5
have.
now. We got an extra game in today's NFL.
Oh, excuse me. You never seen a team go 12-5?
I can't
Yeah, I
remember.
mean, we've seen teams have those types of seasons, but usually with a little bit of a different start to the season. Not the season, or not the start that the Jaguars are having. But no, the only thing I would have had on that game, and we don't have to go through every individual game, but I think Brian and I touched on it, or it was my winner of the week. Drake May shined again, regardless of them losing by what was that, 2 touchdowns there. What do you have? 275 yards passing and another 2 touchdowns. I would say the future's looking bright for him and New England as well.
Yeah, I'll say he had a good game. I mean, for a dude in his second NFL start, yeah, he had a very good game. I'll give him that. I mean, we expect so much out of some of these guys after seeing Stroud and Jaden Daniels come in and do what they do. But we got to keep in mind, second game, this guy's not supposed to uh, go out to London and beat a team in his second NFL start with, especially with the cast characters he has. So, Matt, I'll give you that one. Drake May definitely looked better than the future does look bright for New England fans.
Yeah, well, like you said, the supporting cast is god awful.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's able to put those numbers up, I think, put some weapons around him, especially while he's on a rookie deal, and they might have something there because Patriots defense always seems to be there when they're competitive. So I think the defense will be fine. But yeah, we'll see. It's encouraging out of Drake May, and I'll leave it at that for them.
Yeah, I think speaking of those weapons, Demario Douglas wasn't playing for a lot of it. I think he had diarrhea during this game. Something with flight sickness or something. But yeah, he was off the field for the middle of the game, and he still never really said what it was. It was just an illness. I
Yeah,
know.
I mean that's exactly what I saw. He was out from an illness, and you're traveling to London. You got to eat their shitty food. There's a long plane ride. There's a whole bunch of things that it could have been, but
Yeah, that's definitely a weird one. All right, well, now we got Matt, and I'm sure he wants to absolutely dig me a new one after Saquon Barkley and the Eagles just went into, you know what? I'll call it jet life because it was that lousy of a performance from my Giants. But yeah, they just went in and completely dismantled the New York Giants. So Matt, take it away.
I mean, it was nice to see, right? A slow start by the Eagles, still no first quarter points. That's got to be some kind of record. But yeah, they did what they had to do. They did what they were supposed to do. That was blow out the lousy New York Giants. I don't even need to rip into you on it, Brian, because the Giants are not a good football team. This is the outcome that should have been always expected. Like, I was a little wary on maybe taking the -3 just because I was like, Jalen Hurts doesn't usually play well at Jet Life. But look, he got it done. Besides the first quarter slow start, and you got to give props to the defense. I mean, Vic Fangio has it going for that whole unit. So whatever he's doing, they got to keep that up because the defense is coming to life. And yeah, that's all I got. I'm not going to rip on the Giants. I mean, this is what should have happened. If it was a more competitive game and the Giants were actually good, then maybe I'd go into it. But yeah, you always knew Saquon was going off in this game. I took first touchdown, 100 yards, and Eagles money line. That was like, I don't even know what the payout was. It was like plus 950 or something like that. So nice little same game parlay hit on the birds, which is always nice. But yeah, I mean, it was a Saquon day. You knew he was coming in and he wanted to stick it to the Giants on their home field. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, another reason to watch our Thursday show because we were both all over. Even me, kind of not regrettably, but pessimistically saying take all the Saquon touchdowns, first touchdown, two touchdowns, one touchdown, and take his yards because he's going to run all over the Giants. And that's exactly what he did. And the Eagles defense played really well, but this game also just showed you how important Andrew Thomas is to the New York Giants. He makes up for like two or three guys on that line.
When Matt first said I don't want to rip on the Giants, I was just saying you don't really need to. Your D line already did it, man. Daniel Jones got thrown down to the ground at least 10 times today. I don't know how many sacks the Eagles actually finished with, but he was on his ass more times than I could count. Every time I'm looking up at a Giants highlight, it's Jalen Carter in the backfield. So got to give them a lot of credit. And that is definitely Fangio as well. He loves dialing up those blitzes. So good on him. And then the offensive side, you said it, dude. Saquon, what a day. Brian, I know that hurts.
Yeah, I mean, it hurts, but at the same time, like there were fans burning his jersey in the parking lot, and he had a little quote at his press conference that said that gave him a little extra motivation. But like, I just don't understand Giants fans that are mad at him. Like, be mad at Joe Schmo and Dable and the regime, who, by the way, now is 1-10 against the Giants or against the Eagles and Cowboys since they've taken over. It's a disgrace. Malik Neighbors might request a trade by the end of his rookie season.
Which would be wild.
Yeah, but that's I keep telling myself Auburn lost this weekend, which we'll talk about on Thursday. The Giants lost. My fantasy teams are in shambles. It's just the sports gods evening it out for me, and because the New York Mets are going to continue to move on. And I really hope I don't bite my words when I say that.
You better knock on some wood, brother.
Yeah, I would definitely knock on wood after that one.
Yeah, and by the way, before we move on to the next game here, if we do get a game 7 and the Mets end up winning tonight when we're recording this, I will be streaming that on Monday night. So you'll have that to look forward to. Or you'll have Asahi Saro's rant on our social medias of the Mets season ending after tonight. So either way, you have content to look forward to from the Mets soon.
Everybody's looking forward to that rant.
Oh, man. Well, I promised everyone a reaction video for when the Mets season ended. And to be completely honest with you, I thought it would be after a win. So many fun moments in the 2024 Grimace, Oh My God, Gay, Hawk Tua, Seymour Wiener, Rally Pimp, worst team in baseball, New York Mets. I mean, if you guys have been following along, or if I've been yelling at you about the New York Mets, which I probably have all year, you knew what my expectations were about these guys going into the season. And then in May, and then in June, and then they just exceeded it all. And I I'm going to grow old and tell my kids about the 2024 New York Mets. And my wife Rose is going to tell our kids about how I was insane about the 2024 New York Mets. And I'm just sitting here so sad. The story's not going to end. And me talking about how they had a walk-off home run to hit the World Series, to win the World Series. I can't even speak. This year was so much fun. I mean, so many moments. The Pete Alonso home run, the Luis Severino, who I said was a terrible signing, complete game shutout. Kodai Senga comes back and then gets hurt. And then they still go on a run. Last day of the season against the Braves. The win streaks, multiple win streaks in the middle of the summer after starting 0-5 and then 20-33 or whatever it was. It's just that, I mean, I'm sorry if any of you expect me to be mad, but I'm just sitting here like reflecting on such a fun season. And the Mets don't play until October. The Mets never play this deep into October. I'm normally on the Giants and miserable about the Giants by September. And these guys just battle till the last out, even with 2 outs left. Tyrone Taylor with 2 strikes, it's a bloop single, and then Jeff McNeil, 1 for 10 in the NLCS, drives him home with a hit. And credit to the Dodgers, that team is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And the Mets pitching staff finally folded. Shamania finally didn't have a great start. Oh, man. I'm rambling now, but the 2024 New York Mets deserve even more than 3 minutes of me rambling. I can go on for 10. It's just, what a year. I wish they were tears of joy, but they were tears of sadness. And like I said, those last 2 at-bats just sum up what was the most resilient baseball team I have ever seen and may ever see in my lifetime. And I have full trust in Carlos Mendoza, full trust in Steve Cohen, full trust in David Stearns to make the New York Mets one of the best teams in baseball for years to come. I wish it would have happened this year. It didn't. But we're on to 2025, and I, for the first time in forever, am very optimistic about my ball club for the next decade. Let's go, Mets. But I guess the next game we have to get into here is Packers and Texans. This one was fun.
Dude,
It definitely was.
This game was fun, but this game is just like the epitome of these two teams. Every time I look at a Packers box score or a Texans box score, it's always a super tight game, and it's always right around 20 points, like low 20 somewhere. And what did this one finish? 24-22 in an absolute awesome game, but just nail biter, as these guys always are. I don't understand how these guys are always in the same game every week in and week out. New teams, same game.
Yeah, and Matt, I can't remember if we were talking about this game or the Lions-Vikings game where we said the over seems like a lock, but then we were like, well, you know what? Now that we say that, it's going to end 24-20 on a game-winning field goal. I think it was this game.
It might have been this game. The over-under was like 51.5, which was a huge number, but we were like, oh, both quarterbacks are studs, know how to air it out. Weapons to go around. I thought the over was definitely going to hit, but we both came to that conclusion that seems too good to be true.
Yeah, well, it wasn't 24-20, but it was 24-22. And it was almost 22-21, but D'Amico Ryans decided to ice Brandon McManus at the end. And then he missed the kick, and then he made after the timeout. So that was a tough look from Ryans.
Yeah, I mean, they always do that, right? It's if you got the timeout, you got to ice the kicker. Just what you do. Didn't work out for him there, but that would have been a question you would have had to ask is, hey, why didn't you call the timeout or whatever? But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think that's still the right move going forward is to always ice the kicker.
I feel like it's like playing roulette and betting black or red. Like you gotta stay with the same. You gotta stay with black and call the timeout and ice them every single time, because the second that you bet on red, it's gonna be black. It's gonna be the second you don't ice him. That's gonna be when he misses it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I found
Yeah.
out Brandon McManus was on the Packers. Had no idea. I don't know if their normal kicker got injured.
Well,
If
yeah,
he's
that just happened.
okay, yeah. But shout out Brandon McManus still in the league and making game-winning field goals.
I was just saying, I don't think he's kicked a football in like 2 years. Like, I
It,
don't know where this guy came from, but he came in and then was obviously a huge part of the victory.
He
it
was
could,
actually the kicker for the Jags last year.
he
Was
was.
he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he had that he had like an arrest or something. Or he had some kind of thing going on where they were gonna cut him, but then they didn't cut him.
I don't remember that, probably because Jaguar players are good people, but
Just not the
we're
coaches.
we're not, yeah, not the coaches. No, I don't remember that part of the story, Brian. What I do remember is that Brandon McManus was our starting kicker last year, and I want to say he was there for most of the season, but didn't finish it out with us.
Yeah, there was something going on. And I'm gonna have to look it up now, and I'll look it up in the background, so we're not stuck on that. But yeah, last thing on this game, Josh Jacobs, the longest drought of catching passes without scoring a touchdown. His 211th reception of his career, he finally scored a receiving touchdown.
Yeah, that was one of the
Yeah.
fun stats of the day. Love that.
Yeah, fun stat indeed. It was Jacob's a great player, so it was kind of surprising that he's never caught a receiving touchdown, but he gets the nod there. They get it done. Packers get the win. And I guess the last nugget on the game, I don't know if you guys touched on it, but I see in the notes, and I noticed it as well watching, like those jerseys were sick. The all white Packers jersey. I mean, you wear those every time. Those were lights out. Props to
Yeah.
whoever put that together.
Yeah, I wish they would have saved them for later in the winter. They call them the winter whiteout jerseys, and it was like a 70-degree day in Green Bay, but they were still sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good point, Brian. I was watching the game and it looked very sunny, like they were in San Francisco or something like that. But shout out the white helmets; those are icy.
Yep. And
Icy as hell.
I
You got it.
did find the Brandon McManus. It was two women sued him and the Jaguars for claiming they sexually harassed them on a plane on the way to London, and it turned out the claims weren't true. So then they signed him.
I mean, it sounds pretty on brand. Jaguars always playing in London, so makes sense.
Yep. Game not in London, but a very fun one. The Lions 31 and the Vikings 29. The Lions are in first place in the NFC North.
And the NFC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look,
Yeah.
the Vikings excuse me, not the Vikings, the Lions. They're my NFC favorite right now. The San Francisco 49ers just lost to the Chiefs. They've lost a few games now. I mean, I still expect them to be there when it's all said and done, but the Lions are rolling.
Yeah, the Lions are, I think, by far the best team in the NFC right now in terms of just games that we've seen. Nobody really expected the Vikings to be doing what they're doing, so I think it kind of just evened out the balance that the Lions got this one done. And I was a little surprised to see the Lions as underdogs in this one, but I guess it makes sense, obviously, because the Vikings have been, red hot and playing at home, but just seemed to make sense. They weren't going to let the Vikings keep going undefeated. The Lions were going to take what they rightfully deserve, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, I want to put my tinfoil hat on too, real quick, because another reason why I knew the Vikings were going to lose today is because they were the only undefeated team left outside of the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's another reason I knew that the Chiefs were going to win today. 49ers, you had to fade them today. The Vikings, you had to fade them today. NFL needs their Kansas City Chiefs to be the last undefeated team in the NFL.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions, you said they were the best team in the NFL. They might be. I mean, even without Aiden Hutchinson and David Montgomery for a lot of this game, they still looked fine. And they still aren't using Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta had one catch, and they put up 31 points. It's just, they're well oiled. Jared Goff's completion percentage, too. I don't know the exact stat, but he had that 18 for 18 game, and I think today he was like 20 for 22. It's,
Yeah.
he's,
22 for 25 today.
yeah,
It's insane. It really is. And I mean, let's be honest. When you have a running back duo like they do, the Sonic and Knuckles, and You're sitting behind the best offensive line in the league, and you got good weapons like Laporta and especially Amon-Ra St. Brown. Working off that play action, you're gonna have some guys open all day. So you still got to give Goff a lot of credit for actually executing, because we see other guys in other great situations and they're not executing. So
Yeah, we talk about Jared Goff. I think the question now is he finally an elite quarterback?
I think so.
he's an elite quarterback in this elite system.
Yeah, I'll give him the elite nod. Jack, doesn't sound like you're all the way there, though. You're still saying because the rest of the team, that's why he's elite.
All right, Jack, let me ask you this. Is Jared Goff more elite because he's on the Lions than Brock Purdy is more elite because he's on the Niners?
You guys might call me crazy, but I think Brock Purdy is like just at not including their teams. I would take Brock Purdy and stick him on a team versus Jared Goff and stick him on a team. I'd rather have Purdy.
Okay, I mean, I don't hate that. I think they're very similar. I don't know. Goff, just they've both been to Super Bowls, both lost Super Bowls. I don't know. I guess that's a pretty good comparison.
That is a very fair comparison.
Yeah, definitely fair. I think I would slightly lean Jared Goff over Brock Purdy. I still think Brock Purdy, that is not that he's a fraud, but I think Goff would be able to perform better on maybe a less talented team than Brock Purdy could do. But I guess we can agree to disagree on our different opinions there.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close. Well, the next game we had was not as close or as fun. It was the Seattle Seahawks and Derek Hall scoring a touchdown. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Beating the Atlanta Falcons 34-14. Kenneth Walker decided he did not have a preemptive hangover, and he did play in this game on his birthday. He scored 2 touchdowns. DK Metcalf went out with an injury, I think. Looked like he hurt his shoulder, but then they said a knee. But yeah, Seattle, are they back?
I don't know what happened to this team like for the past 2 weeks. They looked pretty elite to start the season, and then they just went away and hid. And this is what I expected from them. Yeah, they rolled, man. I think the bigger question here is the Falcons defense, which was looking really good. Like what happened?
It was a really weird showing from the Falcons, just all around.
Yeah.
Especially at home too. Like you expect them to be a little more competitive. We talked about the West Coast team coming all the way east to play a 1 o'clock game, and I mean, look, Geno Smith. I don't know if the stat still holds, but he was like leading the league in passing yards. So they have a explosive offense, and the defense is somewhat competent, I guess. But we saw them play the Lions, and the Lions handled them. So could they be a good team, make the playoffs? Sure, but probably not good enough to make enough noise in the playoffs and obviously get to the Super Bowl. We'll see. Still a rookie head coach as well.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is the inconsistency. They need to figure that out, string together, a good season here, because we've seen highs and we've seen lows.
Yeah,
and obviously question mark with Metcalf going out as well. So, that got to see what happens there.
Yeah, I haven't seen how serious that is, but I don't really know what happened. But yeah, if he's out, that's not great for them with Tyler Lockett.
It said he was like stretching it out on the sideline, and it turned into him like getting on a cart and getting carted to the locker room.
Huh.
So I don't know if that was precautionary, but he, I guess under his own power got to the sideline, tried to stretch it out, and then didn't walk back to the locker room. He was carted to the locker room. So I don't know. That could be something to note as the next couple days unfold.
Yeah, that would not be good news for Seattle at all.
No, it would not.
Yeah, but another receiver that had a great game in his debut, Amari Cooper and the Buffalo Bills take down the Titans 33-10.
I mean, this guy's a great NFL wide receiver. He's been doing it for so long. The Browns are horrible, so they didn't get to, I guess, utilize him in the way that he should be utilized. And they make a midweek trade, send him to the Bills. He was with Josh Allen and that offense for a couple of practices. And, everybody talks about Devontae Adams being a plug and play guy for the Jets. I mean, Amari Cooper is just right there in terms of being plug and play. Just get him on the field. He's an explosive player, veteran, talented. I'm not surprised at all. I think he's a great addition to the Bills, and it was on display today.
Yeah, I'm super happy for him getting out of Cleveland. Not that Buffalo's necessarily like a nicer place to live. Both up in the north, cold as shit. But you got to be happy playing with Josh Allen as your starting quarterback and not Deshaun Watson or Dorian Thompson. Shout out Amari Cooper. He's got to be happy. They're going to get him more involved too. As you said, midweek trade. He still comes out there, scores a touchdown. He's going to get more and more involved. And I think, we already saw what this is going to do for their offense as a whole, because you saw Keon Coleman explode for 100+ yards today. And having a good wide receiver one veteran guy there is going to not only make him, better and develop him as a player, but it's going to open up the field for him on the field. So I just think that was a phenomenal move for the Bills. And against a good Titans defense that we like to talk about, they took care of them.
Yeah, if they can get Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid going to go along with James Cook and Josh Allen's running ability, they're 5-2, so it's not like they haven't been good, but this is another team that we always talk about who can take down the Chiefs. And we haven't really mentioned the Bills much. And maybe they could finally do it.
I think Amari Cooper is a piece that was necessary. Like, they needed him if they wanted to even have a chance to take down the Chiefs. And now that he's there, I think they do have a chance.
And we can obviously argue who's better, Amari Cooper or Stephon Diggs, but Diggs, I don't want to say he was a headache, but he was a lively personality. He lets you know when he wasn't getting the ball. Some might call it a distraction. Amari Cooper's not really like that. He's a quiet guy, doesn't say much. He's not going to blow up a locker room. He's not going to be a cancer to the team. They found their Stephon Diggs replacement, and there's really no headache attached to it at all. So it's a great move for the Bills.
Yeah, there was that report. I don't know if Saban said it on game day or who he said it to, but he pretty much said in a long diatribe that he never had a more than a minute-long conversation with Amari Cooper in all of his years at Alabama. And it wasn't an issue because he always did his job, but Amari Cooper was just such a quiet guy that he never even talked to him about anything.
Just about his business. He's a football guy. Those guys belong in Buffalo.
Yeah, he does the right thing on and off the field. It seems like nice guy. He's just quiet personality. Maybe you could call that an introvert, but yeah, he's I think that's a plus upgrade for the Bills. Obviously getting I would just call it the Stephon Diggs replacement without the headache, I think is a good way to put it.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to put it. And a game that gave me a lot of headaches for a lot of reasons. The Panthers got blown out by the Commanders, the Marcus Mariota-led Commanders, because Jaden Daniels went out with an injury. His mom did tweet he was okay, and then he came out after the halftime and gave a thumbs up to the crowd in his street clothes. So it seems like he's all right in the long run. But yeah, this one hurt.
What exactly was the injury?
I think it was a bruised rib, and he got x-rays to see if they were broken, and they were negative. So I assume he'll be able to play on a bruised rib for the rest of the year, but it's just not great, especially when you're going to be taking a lot of hits as a running quarterback.
Yeah, they're going to have to change up the game plan, and who knows? Maybe they leave Mariota out there for a couple weeks. Let him heal up. We'll see. They're 5-2. They've afforded sort of that luxury, and on top of that, I know that this was tough for them losing Jaden Daniels, but they looked fine on offense. Brian Robinson is a dog, dude, an absolute dog. And then Mariota looked good too. He was slinging it around, threw for multiple touchdowns. So he looks like a competent backup. He's definitely a veteran at this point. And for some reason, I mean, I kind of know the reason, but for the guy that's been compared to Jameis Winston his entire career, ever since college, he's seen a lot more NFL time than Jameis.
Yeah, I mean he saw some time with the Eagles. He's he we just went over that stat of the rookies with 3 touchdowns in their debut
Or
and 4 touchdowns in their debut, and Mariota had one of those. So he's been around and he's a good player. And I apologize for my reaction there during your speech for those watching on YouTube, but the Mets are up 1-0. So that game has started, and I am locked in on that game. But yeah, the Commanders with their blowout win, I mean, they have kind of the ability now to. I don't know their upcoming schedule, but you can kind of wait for Daniels to get in or get fully healthy, and Mariota looked good in this offense.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We kind of saw the same thing with Jalen Hurts, right? He was great with his legs, running around, taking the hits. He got that injury, and then kind of seemed to like not shy away, but it's been a little different. I understand. I think Hurts was a knee injury, and Daniels obviously with the ribs, but it'll be interesting to see these quarterbacks who are very run heavy and mobile. Um, it's going to be in the back of his head, and hopefully it doesn't affect the way he plays the game because it's a big part of his game.
Yeah, and the only other thing I have here on the other side, Panthers, maybe it's time to go back to Bryce Young. And you look incompetent enough where you might as well get the young guy in there and see what happens.
yeah, I don't know what you're trying to prove with Darnold. What are you trying to win games with Darnold? Is he winning you a super? Like I don't get it.
Yeah, Dalton, you're mixing up your mediocre white
Oh,
quarterbacks.
excuse me. I'm the other ginger.
I was going to say mediocre white ginger quarterbacks. But yeah, they got to, I mean, sell the team, relocate, like get a new identity because it just seems like I don't know that it'll ever flip for the Carolina Panthers. It's going to be, we talked about the Giants being horrible for all these years. When's the last, I mean, what, 2015, they made the Super Bowl with Cam, and that
Yeah,
was the last time the Panthers were relevant?
I mean, yeah, it was the Cam Newton career. Oh my God, it was the Cam Newton career arc. He took a bad Auburn team to the Natty and won the Natty, and then he took a bad Panthers team. Albeit he had Christian McCaffrey and some dogs. Thomas Davis, I think that was his name at linebacker. Luke Kuechly at linebacker.
Thomas Davis, Luke Kuechly. Was Jabril still on that team?
Oh, they had Norman, so they had guys there.
Was Julius
But
Peppers still there?
maybe Peppers was still there.
I don't think so.
I don't know about Peppers, but it was basically just
Greg
Cam
Olsen,
Newton.
Steve Smith.
Yeah, they didn't have
Was
Steve Smith. He had no. I think his number one receiver was wasn't.
Dude, I think it was Kelvin Benjamin.
Yeah, it was Kelvin Benjamin and like Powell something. It was bad.
Wait, this was
Yeah.
without Steve Smith that he made the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think Steve Smith was on the Ravens in 2015. He made his way over to Baltimore by that time.
Wow. So if the Panthers didn't mess up by drafting Kelvin Benjamin, they could have actually maybe won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was not great in the NFL.
Giants tight end legend Kelvin Benjamin. But another game that was terrible, the Raiders and the Rams.
Yeah, I
Um,
didn't watch this game at all, to be honest with you. Did the Rams win?
the Rams
Yeah,
did win.
yeah, they
Okay.
they they, they handled the Raiders. The Raiders, I think that they played a little bit more inspired after, Devontae Adams left town this week. But, it looked like they had something to play for, like, oh, like we didn't need him. But at the same time, like they're so bad that it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Aiden O'Connell got hurt too. Gardner Minshew came in, looked like he didn't give two shits. And I love Gardner Minshew, but it looked like he is out there not trying to get hurt. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, his job now is to just pass the ball to Brock Bowers.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, Las Vegas, the Raiders, they know they're not winning anything this year. The highlight of their season is going to be the fact that Tom Brady is now a minority owner.
The
At what,
Rams,
at-
like,
I was just going to say, at what point does Antonio Pierce go on the hot seat?
Oh, there's no way he survives this season.
yeah, I just who else would you want to hire?
I don't know, but
You need to hire an offensive minded coach.
Yeah,
You
but
do.
they tried to do that, and that worked out terrible for them.
Gruden was pretty
And
bad,
then McDaniels, and it was
but at the same time, like Gruden he's lost his marbles.
yeah, his TikTok is something else right now.
so what's it? Antonio Pierce getting fired before the end of the season? Jack, you seem to think so.
I think he could be fired by the end of the season. I think he'll probably survive the season, and they're going to try and find somebody new in the offseason. I think that's what Tom Brady's going to suggest.
Like Pierce was a nice interim head coach,
Yeah.
but long term, I don't know that he's a viable head coaching option.
Yeah, I think the thing he had going for them or going for him last year was the guys loved him. And I don't know
Yeah.
how many of the guys actually still love him.
Yeah, like I said, fine, like plug him in midseason, interim the rest of the year, but it just doesn't strike me as like a long-term head coaching guy.
Yeah, well, two long-term head coaches that battled it out again, and Shanahan once again lost. The Chiefs beat the 49ers. The Chiefs stay undefeated, like Jack said. 49ers are still in shambles. They are not a good football team right now. Um, I think the highlight of this game for me was just how bad Tom Brady is at color commentating.
He's awful.
And I mean, to be fair to him, it's kind of hard when you can't sit in on any of the meetings because you're not allowed to. But maybe Fox shouldn't have given him the bag if you knew he wanted to do that.
Yeah, it was rough listening to him. He especially especially I don't think he's doing himself any favors being partnered with what's his name, Kevin Burkhardt. Is that how you say it?
Kevin
I don't
Burkhardt.
think I don't think he's doing it himself any favors being with Kev because Kev's like a very chill guy, doesn't really get too up in the emotions and all that. And every time Brady says something, it's like he's saying it to a hot girl and he's spitting it out way too fast. Like he's doing a public speech and he's rambling his words. It's not a good combination. And on top of that, he's just not great.
Yeah, it's kind of like the way Tony Romo was, but then we had Tony Romo and everyone turned on him. So now it's like no one's gonna like when you start out like that and you're just kind of screaming and not giving us anything. Like the whole reason they hired him was to give us some kind of analysis, and all he's doing is just go, oh, like that doesn't serve any purpose.
The only thing I'll say on Tom Brady is it's still early. He just started his career as the like let the guy get through a season and let's analyze him next year. But
You are now in the mix
to
with
the point of
DJ
what we're talking
Savage.
about, it's been a rough start. I think is a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I got high expectations for him. Yeah, he set the bar pretty high for himself. So
I guess the only question on that, Chiefs three-peat this year?
Yeah.
They beat all, like, they've been beating good teams.
yeah, well, I mean their defense is
Teams that were
honestly,
supposed to be good, at least.
their defense is honestly insane. And today their offense looked like their playoff offense, if that makes sense. They were everything was clicking for them. They were getting creative with it, getting everybody involved. Mecole Hardman had a career day. Noah Gray had a couple catches. Just the guys you don't see all the time. They're making it work. Yes, they're phenomenal. They're going to be back in the Super Bowl.
And that's what, Andy Reid to an extent, but what Patrick Mahomes does so well. You just plug guys in, he gets them the ball, he extends plays, and he, like, it really doesn't matter. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster, like, kind of came to life. I don't know if it was in this game, but what was the last game? He got Juju the ball a bunch. So you could basically put anybody. I guarantee you, if the Chiefs were the team that traded for Jahan Dotson, that guy would be going off right now.
Yeah.
Obviously doing nothing for the Eagles, but you could put him in there and he'd probably do well. And I know it's obviously AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, not to go on a whole tangent about that, but yeah, plug and play anybody for the Chiefs, and Mahomes somehow makes them into a superstar.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for anyone to take them down this year, but that's the slate. It was interesting. Sunday. I don't know if it was as good of a Sunday, at least in terms of fireworks, as the slate looked like it was going to be, but maybe I'm just down because I had a terrible football day.
There were some good games. I mean, the 4 o'clock slate kind of stunk. We're
Yeah.
very lucky. We're very lucky that the Chiefs and 49ers had a matchup today, because if they didn't, the 4 o'clock slate would have been awful. I mean, it just slept through the entirety of it. But
Yeah,
that was a good game, and I just had that one on.
the 4 o'clock slate was horrible. The 1 o'clock slate was pretty good, right? Like Packers and Texans came down to the wire.
Yeah.
Dolphins Colts were there was kind of competitive towards the end.
Lions Vikings was probably the game of the day.
Lions Vikings was there. So there's some close finishes to wrap up the 1 o'clocks. But yeah, 4 o'clock dead in the water. And yeah, sure, the Niners and Chiefs played, but Chiefs blew them out. It was close, sure, but Chiefs blew them out.
Yeah, the Chiefs
Ryan's
did.
getting rattled.
Yeah, Teoscar. Well, thank God he is I don't know why he didn't run that ball out. He thought he got all of it. It was a single, but yeah, I'm ready to go watch this game and maybe cry afterwards. But
I'm
I
ready
guess
to watch Russell Wilson.
yeah, we'll see how that goes.
That's going to be interesting as well. But yeah, good slate. We'll see everybody back on Wednesday night's recording for the Thursday show.
And I will see all of you to either live stream Game 7 or rant about how the Mets season is over. But until next time, let's go Mets.
Looking forward to that, Brian.
Give me a Subway Series.